I want to welcome you to our call today, and I'm so thankful to be able to introduce you to someone who I admire so much. We had an opportunity in life where our paths crossed, and we worked together on some projects and some initiatives at a company. And I'm just so impressed and so honored by what she has gone on to contribute at an individual level as well as at a corporate level and across the industry. Who I'm talking about is Mona Ameli, is a growth C-suite executive with 25 years of proven track record in successfully starting, building, scaling, and expanding direct selling and direct-to-consumer business and brands worldwide, with P&L responsibilities up to 500 million, both with private and public companies, as well as leadership of more than 150 employees and millions of independent contractors. Mona's consistently been recognized for her ability and agility to sustainably turn around organizations. The combination of her multicultural, multilingual, and multi-channel expertise, her results-driven strategic business acumen, and her strong emotional and cultural intelligence-based leadership skills provide her with a unique ability to help organizations reach their full potential. Her success lies in her distinctive approach to putting people, culture, and values at the foundation of the organization's strategic financial growth to achieve triple financial, human, and societal bottom lines. It's so impressive, Mona. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. It's an honor. I'm humbled by, your kind words, especially coming from someone as accomplished and as inspiring as you are. So thank you for having me, Laura and Jenny, this morning.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Let's jump right into it. How did you first hear about network marketing, direct selling, the multi-level marketing industry? What was your first exposure to it?
Well, it's actually a very interesting story because I came across this industry completely by chance and not by choice. I was working in a direct response television, a global company in Santa Monica, California, and I was, called by a recruiter telling me that there is a great opportunity in Los Angeles to join a very large global company, mentioned the name, and I had no idea who they were, but because of their name, I thought that they were actually the manufacturers and marketers of herbal essences shampoo. I have no idea how I associated that, but that's how I went to the interview. That's how little I knew. And when I went to the interview, I realized that this is a very different company. Anyhow, I got hired at that company, and the first thing my boss said to me is, I'm going to send you to a weekend event. It's a 3,000 people event here in California. And when you come back from that trip, you're going to tell me if you want to stay and do this job and be with this company in this industry, or you want to leave, because you either love it or it's not for you. So I had the opportunity to spend a weekend with one of the greatest leaders of our industry, who has now passed, unfortunately, but at a very, very thriving company. And my life completely changed during that weekend, because I realized that this is an industry where I'm able to contribute at a very different level than any other corporations or industry I have been associated with before, because it's not only a financial contribution to the bottom line of the company, but it's also a true contribution to the lives of individuals. And that made a huge difference for me. So I fell in love with the industry, and I made a choice to stay. So I came by chance, but I choose to stay.
I love that. I love that you fell in love with it. So what is the thing, if you had to say one thing, what do you love most about this profession?
I think that what I love about this profession is wherever you sit within this industry, because I've had the privilege to be on the corporate side. I've been also on at the supplier side. I worked actually for a manufacturing company that helped produce the products for this industry, and also now on the consulting side. At every side of this business, there is a driver, which is the purpose of why we're doing that. And that is what is the most attractive for me, is that I'm able to make a difference financially in the success of either independent, individuals, independent entrepreneurs, or the overall organization and company. But at the same time, I see people really grow personally, really shift in a way that they become, uh, uh, you know, and operate at their full potential. And that change is something that I absolutely love in this industry, and why I'm still in it, even though I have the choice not to be, but I choose to be part of it.
Yeah, it is truly like a different world from corporate. And I think we've all spent time in corporate, and we're chatting about that before. And I think, it's one of those things that's hard to portray to people because it is such a different world. So what do you feel is the most common misconception that you run into that people have about this profession?
Sure. And I think that there is one part about this industry that people probably don't grasp fully if they're not in it or they haven't experienced it. It's the sense of community. It's you almost like, I wouldn't say overnight, but very quickly, create a new family. You have your own, personal family, but this becomes a second family for you, where you're able to grow, where you're able to be part of something that's bigger than just you. And that part is misunderstood when you're not within the industry, as something that's like cult-like, that you're like now talking and engaging in a different way because you have drank the Kool-Aid. And it's not that at all. It's because it's an aligned purpose, it's an aligned passion of people who truly believe, because they have experienced change, whether it be financial or growth professionally, or like personally in their lives. And that is something that is misunderstood in this industry.
I just love the way that you described that, and that is true. I mean, it's from the outside, I believe it, suffers a lot of unwarranted judgment. And when you are involved or have firsthand experience with it, you just understand it at a whole different level. If there were one thing that you would want someone to know about why they should start a business in network marketing and what that could look like for them, what would your advice be to somebody that was listening to this and saying, I'm thinking about this, but I'm just not really sure whether I should do it or not?
Sure, and this is actually a very interesting question, because it is also one of the questions that, when you ask yourself, if you go with the wrong expectation or misconception, it could lead you to disappointment and distress around, why did I do that, and was this a mistake or not. So I think that I would say that operationally, financially, again, I kind of have this balance between, the head and the heart. And especially at this time of our, how our world is operating post, a triple pandemic, that triple crisis that we've been going through, is the lowest investment entrepreneurship business model that you could be joining. What that means is that if you're truly looking for a business opportunity where you're able to be your own boss and work at your own pace, but are afraid of going and risking a lot of upfront investment to be able to do that, you're able to actually grow a business at your own leisure, with your own I would say, dimensions of what success means to you, with very small investment up front and with huge support. Most of the time, you need to be very, mindful about who you select to go on this journey with, but with a solid organization that backs you up, and a community of people that really care for you, And what's really, really unique about this is that it's the only entrepreneurship opportunity where everybody has to succeed in order for the company and for the organization to succeed. It's not a loner business entrepreneurship. You don't feel alone. You don't feel lost. Like a lot of new entrepreneurs, feeling lonely, feeling isolated, feeling that they don't have the support is hard for them to be able to continue. It is a business that requires a lot of hard work, but you're not alone in it. And the entry price and entry points are usually a lot more affordable than what you could see in other businesses.
Yes, yes. I agree with that. And we've talked some about that on prior episodes that we've had here. If folks want to check that out too. We've talked about, how it's a lower price to be able to get a business up and going and a good option for an entrepreneur. So tell us more about the work you're doing now. I'm fascinated by what you're doing now. You've left the corporate world in a sense of leading and running companies, but you're contributing on a different level. Tell us more about that. What's your work about now?
So this was a change that happened a few years ago when my husband and I became parents very unexpectedly, but very grateful for this huge, enormous blessing that God provided to us to become parents pretty late in our lives, naturally and safely. So at that point, priorities changed for me, and because of my passion and my commitment to this industry, then I thought I needed to kind of have more flexibility around how I was operating and what I was doing, because I wanted to continue to be an example and a role model to my daughter, to know that, we can, still be moms and women and thrive in our businesses, but at the same time have the flexibility to be with her and share all the great moments of her growing up, and be fully committed to her and her well-being. So I started a consulting business. I don't really like to call it consulting because we're not consultants, we're partners. And that's why it's called Ameli Global Partnerships. And what we specialize on is at two levels. One is to help boards and to help organizations and C-suite management to be able to turn around organizations that are not doing well or that have reached a plateau. And so there is a financial aspect to it. But the most important work that we do is to help organizations see the value of their people and their culture in their growth. Because a lot of consultants, a lot of people come in and say, hey, you need to do things differently from a sales, from a marketing, from a financial perspective. What we do, we come in and look actually at the culture of the organization. So because I worked in this manner and with this techniques in several of my other positions, I believed that this culture, inclusive culture, is important to the success of an organization. So I got certified in global cultural transformation from Barrett, which is one of the most known organizational culture methodologies in the world. And then I also got certified in diversity and inclusion by the National Diversity Council, which provided me the tools to be able to truly bring inclusion and diversity into organizations, not as just talking about it, but having the tools to be able to truly bring it in. So what we do and what our firm, I have 10 independent partners that work with me, we bring a vision that is different than most people, because we bring forward the importance and the value of the people and the alignment of their cultural insights and values in order to bring trust and to rebring growth to the organizations. And we work that with organizations, but we also work with individuals. I do a lot of work with leaders in different companies. We are agnostic as to what type of business model, if it's party plan, pure MLM, hybrid, whatever, and what product category they're part of, completely agnostic to that. We help leaders achieve their full potential. A lot of individual leaders in companies are aided by a lot of the work that corporate provides to them. But in some instances, some of these leaders need more or have a different style that the corporation is not able to provide to them. As an example, I have a leader, extraordinary woman who shifted her earnings, tripled it within 1 year by working with a methodology that's like focused on working smarter versus working more. Because the most important part of this business is that you have the ability to build a business that provides you annuity, that provides you residual income, and that you build very, very hard with hard work, but then you're able to kind of come and, while supervising, still being engaged and involved, but you're able to actually have the flexibility of the life that you want. And some leaders are not able to do that. And some organizations have not been able to provide that to their leaders. So we provide also that help to individual entrepreneurs.
I love the perspective that you bring to this conversation with having worked with so many different companies. And, I love that you're talking about culture, and I'm sure you see all kinds of cultures. And one of my pet peeves, if you will, about this profession is that a lot of people kind of lump all network marketing companies together, and they think they're all the same. And maybe they've had one experience and they kind of think, oh, I've tried network marketing, it didn't work, but they don't recognize the fact that companies are different. So you see that firsthand. So coming from the perspective that you are, what kinds of things, what advice would you give to somebody that is looking at getting into network marketing to look for in a company?
You're absolutely right, Janine. I think that it goes back to kind of some of those misconceptions that, unfortunately, like any other industry, there are some, players, or there are some organizations that might not provide the full, experience that one would expect. And that's why I always recommend for those who are looking to join this extraordinary industry is to do your homework, in a way to understand that the organization that you're joining actually aligns with your own values, that what they do, what they say, and how they come across, either through their website, the way they, show the products, and the way they, feature their business opportunity, also searching if they have any litigations, if they have, so it's really being able to do the homework to understand what is their purpose, what is their mission, that you feel that there's an alignment, and you feel that you have the ability to be part of something that is an expansion of who you are, and that will help you grow, not only from a business perspective, but also from a personal perspective. I usually recommend for people, if possible, to become guests in some of the meetings now, like virtual Zooms, is to try, to be on certain calls. If there is someone who is inviting you to maybe try a product or a service, or to become a part of their, organization, ask them to shadow you. To ask them if you could shadow them in some of the work that they're doing, so you have firsthand experience on not only how the corporate leader are and what they say and what they do, but also the field leaders, and get a sense of the company, its culture, its values, beyond just the compensation plan and the product efficacy.
Yes, that is so important. And I'm so glad of what you're doing at an individual and a corporate level, as well as, just overall. It's really impressive and very, very important. Well, we're going to wrap up and just do some things that are fun. Tell us something in your life that you're enjoying today. What's making your life easier? What are you loving? Maybe it's something you're reading or gadget or something. What are you enjoying today?
It's an interesting question. I don't know that if it's making my life easier, but it's definitely making my life happier, fuller, and funner. And that's the ability to involve my daughter in a lot of the things that I'm doing. So I've started, taking back my health on track and being able to be healthier. So she actually exercises with me. She participates with me in my Zoom trainings, and she loves it, and she's connected with my trainer, and we cook together. So whenever possible, especially on the weekends when we do meal preparation, and that way I get to spend quality time with her, which is extremely fulfilling. But also I get to teach her early on what it is to be healthy and to take care of yourself, which is something that I've lacked almost all my life. I'm 50 and I'm still learning that. So and that is such a fulfilling thing for me to be able to do that, and it helps ease the stress, especially over the past year of what we've been going through.
Oh, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. I know we both have daughters, and that is something that you will enjoy for a lifetime. One of my favorite things is when my daughters are home and we cook together, or we exercise together, or do things together. So you will enjoy that for a lifetime, and so will she. Her most treasured memories will be these times, those moments, and these times with you. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Lastly, tell us about what causes you support. We know that this industry across the board, whether it's individuals on the corporate side or individuals out in the field, it's a very philanthropic industry, and giving back and generating so that they can be generous. What lights you up these days? What are you giving back to?
So I have been a longtime advocate for women and helping women. I've done it in different ways. I actually had been involved in helping women and families get through domestic violence. I actually had my own nonprofit, Women Without Borders. And I also was on, the president of the board of another large company that I used to be associated with, and we had a nonprofit organization dedicated to the education of girls and advancement of women coming from disadvantaged backgrounds. I continue to be a big advocate for women advancement. This is not necessarily, I don't want to characterize it as feminist or anything. It's really having the ability to bring resources, to bring education, and to bring support to women. And that's all about equity. I think that a lot of times we confuse equality with equity. And equity, and there's an image that I could share with you later on, but equity means that imagine that there are two people, one male and one female, looking outside a window. And one is standing at this level, and the other person is at the higher level, which is the man, and the woman has started from a lower place. Bringing equity means that you provide them more to be able to come here and then create equality. And that really is the premise of what drives me. And that is one of the reasons that I have focused a lot of my work to actually helping women CEOs, a lot of women entrepreneurs, and to be able to coach, to do advancement, pipeline management, career advice, and help hands-on to women and organizations of women who are trying to advance and not necessarily have had, even though with all the different dialogues that are going on in our world in 2021, we're still not there. And I am extremely committed to that. And I'm extremely committed to giving my time and any of my expertise for more women to have leadership roles, and to be able to feel safe, to be able to feel themselves wholesome, and to feel that they belong, not only in organizations' boards, but also as small entrepreneurs I work with an organization that is focused on Black women entrepreneurs. I do a lot of nonprofit work for them, and to help these women who are not seen, who feel invisible, who are not given the right amount of support financially from organizations to be able to launch their organizations, be proud of it, and be working at their full potential.
Wow, I love that description you gave about equity and equality. I have never quite thought of it that way, but I've certainly seen that. I've lived that and seen that in many different cases, inside and outside of a boardroom. So that is fantastic. I love what you're doing there.
Thank you.
Well, we want to say thank you for joining us today, Mona. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And I know this is going to be, I wrote down some different quotes that we'll be sharing as well. And we just really appreciate your time. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you, Janine. And thank you for being such amazing advocates for this industry and for everyone who's participating in it. I'm honored and privileged to be part of this network marketing industry. Thank you.
And thank you for all you're doing as well.
My pleasure. It's an honor.